Hey guys, welcome back to Click Academics. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to solve this exponential equation. And make sure to stick to the end of the problem, where I have 3 bonus problems that are similar to this one, which you guys can try to solve. Alright, so I have x to the power of 16 minus 169 is equal to 0. Now, x to the power of 16 we can rewrite as x to the power of 8 times 2, because 16 is equal to 8 times 2. And now if I have something in the form a to the power of m times n, this is the same thing as a to the power of m to the power of n. So x to the power of 8 times 2, that's going to equal x to the power of 8 to the power of 2, minus 169, this is the same thing as 13 to the power of 2. Now if I have something in the form a squared minus b squared, this is the same thing as a plus b times a minus b. So in this case, a is equal to x to the power of 8, and b is equal to 13. So now I have x to the power of 8 plus 13 times x to the power of 8 minus 13 is equal to 0. So now x to the power of 8 minus 13, this is the same thing as x to the power of 4 to the power of 2 minus the square root of 13 squared. And again, these two are both to the power of 2. Remember, if I have something in the form a squared minus b squared, this is equal to a plus b times a minus b. So in this case, I'm going to have x to the power of 4 plus the square root of 13 times x to the power of 4 minus the square root of 13. And now I have this with, remember, I still have my x to the power of 8 plus 13 from the start. So I have x to the power of 8 plus 13, and all of this is equal to 0. So now I have 3 equations here. I have x to the power of 4 plus the square root of 13 is equal to 0. I have x to the power of 4 minus the square root of 13 is equal to 0. And I have x to the power of 8 plus 13 is equal to 0. So for x to the power of 8 plus 13 equals 0, all I have to do is subtract 13 on both sides. These two cancel out. I'm left with x to the power of 8 is equal to negative 13. So now if I take the 8th root on both sides, these two cancel out, and left with x is equal to the 8th root of the square root of negative 13, or sorry, the 8th root of negative 13. And you actually can't take a positive root, or sorry, not a positive, an even root on a negative number. So this is wrong. So now for x to the power of 4 plus the square root of 13 equals 0, I'm going to first subtract the square root of 13 on both sides. So then these two cancel out. Now I have x to the power of 4 is equal to negative square root of 13. And again, same thing over here. This is not going to work out because you can't take the power of a positive number. You can't take the 4th power of a positive number and make it negative. So this is wrong as well. So now all we are left with is x to the power of 4 minus the square root of 13 equals 0. So I'm going to first add the square root of 13 on both sides. So now I have x to the power of 4 is equal to square root of 13. Now the square root of 13, this is the same thing as 13 to the power of 1/2. So now if I take the power of 1/4 on both sides, now if I have something in the form a to the power of m to the power of n, this is equal to a to the power of m times n. 4 times 1/4 is 1, so these two cancel out. So now I have x is equal to 1/2 times 1/4 is 1/8, so 13 to the power of 1/8. Alright, so I have x plus x is equal to x times x. Now, let's simplify these two sides to start. Alright, so x plus x, that's obviously equal to 2x. and x times x, that's going to equal x squared. So now I'm going to go ahead and subtract x squared on both sides. So now these two are going to cancel out, and now I'm going to be left with 2x minus x squared is equal to 0. Now, if I factor out x from here, I get x times 2 minus x is equal to 0. So now this is going to give me two equations. I have x is equal to 0, and I also have 2 minus x is equal to 0. So x equals 0, this is already solved. This is already a solution. For 2 minus x equals 0, all I have to do is add x on both sides, and I get x is equal to 2. So these are two solutions to this problem. Now, however, going back, if you see here where I had 2x is equal to x squared, now if I were to divide by both sides by x over here, these two cancel out, and I would simply be left with 2 is equal to x. So although this is a simpler version of solving this problem, the only solution I would get here is x equals 2. And I wouldn't know that x equals 0 without having to subtract x squared on both sides, factor x out, and do all of this. Alright, so now to check, my original equation was x plus x is equal to x times x. So let's first start with x equals 0. If x equals 0, I have 0 plus 0 is equal to 0 times 0. 0 plus 0 is 0, and 0 times 0 is 0 as well. So this is right. Now, if x equals 2, I have 2 plus 2 is equal to 2 times 2. 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. 2 times 2 is also equal to 4. So 4 equals 4 as well, meaning our two solutions here are both correct. Alright, so I have 9 to the power of 900 minus 9 to the power of 901. So for our solution here, first start with 9 to the power of 900 minus 9 to the power of 901. Now 901 here, this is the same thing as 900 plus 1. So now I have 9 to the power of 900 minus 9 to the power of 900 plus 1. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of m plus n, this is the same thing as a to the power of m times a to the power of n. So 9 to the power of 900 plus 1, that's going to equal 9 to the power of 900 times 9 to the power of 1. And now, because both of these terms have 9 to the power of 900 in them, I can simply factor out 9 to the power of 900. So now I have 9 to the power of 900 times, now 9 to the power of 900 divided by 9 to the power of 900 is simply 1, minus 9 to the power of 900 times 9 to the power of 1 divided by 9 to the power of 900. All that's left is 9 to the power of 1. So now this is equal to 9 to the power of 900 times 1 minus 9, because 9 to the power of 1 is the same thing as 9. Now 1 minus 9, that's the same thing as negative 8. So I have 9 to the power of 900 times negative 8. Now negative 8, this is the same thing as 8 times negative 1. And negative 1 times 9 to the power of 900 is negative 9 to the power of 900. So now I have negative 9 to the power of 900 times positive 8. Now I'm going to rewrite 9 as 3 squared. So now I have negative 3 squared to the power of 900 times 8. And now if I have something in the form a to the power of n to the power of m, it's the same thing as a to the power of n times m. So 3 to the power of 2 to the power of 900, that's going to equal 3 to the power of 2 times 900. And 2 times 900 is simply 1800. So now I have negative 3 to the power of 1800 times 8. Now 8 I can rewrite as 2 to the power of 3, because we're trying to keep this as the simplest form as possible. So now I have negative 3 to the power of 1800 times 2 to the power of 3. So our answer here is negative 3 to the power of 1800 times 2 to the power of 3.